Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic hill. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown. What a block.
Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off, it's these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve it now. It's only worth it if you work for it.
Throws it deep for Tyreek. He's got him.
Oh, he threw it right to the end goal. Goodbye. Another defensive touchdown for the Dolphins. Touchdown, Miami. How about that crazy play?
What is happening, Dolphins fans? And welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate. Shout out to everybody in chat. Salute. I see you guys. Hit the like button on your way in. It is Monday night. Dolphins prime time. Can't wait. I'll be there with you guys. I was going to try to make it to the game. Didn't really work out in the cards. Is what it is. Maybe next week. Maybe Buffalo. Maybe the playoffs. Honestly, I am eyeing playoffs now. Because to me, the Dolphins control their own destiny in so many ways, not only to get the top seed, but the second seed. You know, we're going to go into a lot of that. I got a lot of good stuff I want to talk to you guys about. I want to talk about the Bills in Kansas City. I want to talk about the Eagles and Cowboys. And then we're going to do some scenarios in which the Dolphins can clinch the playoffs. We can do, getting even just in the playoffs, so a wild card, winning the East, and we'll look at the scenarios for remaining number one. And it starts with tonight, a victory in Miami on Monday night, which I mean, listen, I hate to say it, but we're all just shocked. We're checking the box. We're like, yep, Dolphins got 10 wins today, because these Titans are not. They're not good. They're not, and they do some things. There is some stuff we got to look out for, but they got some guys banged up. We'll go in the injury report. We'll go into all this stuff, guys. I got a lot that we're going to get into in this pregame. We're going to look at the playoff machine too. Might as well. We're right around that time of year. Final quarter of the season after tonight will be underway, and there is a lot of people in the mix. The Bills have a fight upward, but at the same time, outside of their next game, and then the Dolphins, they got a couple of winnable games. I mean, they have to run the table. We're going to get into all of it. And then we'll talk about the stats and info between the Dolphins and the Titans and why we're going to just smoke their asses today. And, I'll be fielding questions from chat all day. So get at me in chat. I'm going to try to do my best to keep my eye on chat and, stay engaged and hit the like button. Like I said, please do. Shout out to Ryan in here. What's going on? Aqua, salute my guy. Dolphins thirsty. What's happening, homie? Nay, good afternoon. Joe, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I know. Well, listen, all right, we'll talk about that another time. What's going on? Kevin, Mayo, Day One, Mr. Paul, B. McD, Canes, what's up? Everybody hit the like button. Mr. Hopeful, hello, hello. Yes, get those likes up, guys. Pre-game show underway. We'll start it off, simply. What about the KC Bills game, guys? I mean, it's a bittersweet type of thing because look, the Bills beating Kansas City helps us in our hopes at not only getting remaining number one in the AFC, but staying there and also keeping us in position to be a number two. Because the further Kansas City falls down, even though it has the Bills climbing up, is benefiting us right now. But at the same time, man, it would have been so great if the Bills lost, and it would have been, what they deserve. Let's call it for what it is. The Bills are, and they've got again, they've got a schedule that they can kind of do some stuff. But right, Kevin, I mean, to me, it's weird. It's just a weird feeling as a Dolphins fan. The Bills win, and it's a good thing. It's like, ugh, doesn't taste right. So, oh man, I know, Canes. I'm freezing, dude. It is brisk as hell up here, dude. It is. It's brisk. I don't like it. It's a wet cold for all those not in Florida. When it gets cold, it chills you to the bone. All of your exposed skin has like dry and moist at the same time. It's weird. Gross. Yeah, Kansas City, let's call it for what it is. Like, the wide receivers are a problem. We all saw the amazing play that Travis Kelce had with the lateral in for the tutty, but I think it was, who was it that was offsides? Was it Kadarius Toney or something? It doesn't matter. One of their wide receivers that underperforms regularly was offside or lined up in the neutral zone and negated a touchdown that would have pretty much sealed them the victory pretty much. Because it was a low-scoring game, 20-17 in that Bills-Chiefs game. The Bills needed to win that game to stay alive. I mean, dude, they're still climbing from the bottom. They're behind everybody still. But, it's it's just a weird thing. Patrick Mahomes was super upset. I know you guys seen that. I thought it was funny how he was getting all bent out of shape. I mean, he's got to be frustrated, right? And, here's another thing that nobody's talking about their weapons. And, for years now, the Chiefs would get these flyer guys and make superstars out of them. They've been doing it before Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what you say. If you watch Chiefs, they've done really good. And as of late as well. But no one's talking about the loss of Bieniemy and how so Eric Bieniemy is notorious for being kind of a stern type of guy, a no-nonsense type of guy. Not that guys don't like him, but he's a drill sergeant. And honestly, that wide receiving core for Kansas City, it looks like they're missing that type of discipline because they're dropping balls. They're lining up in the neutral zone. Their routes are shallow rather than deep, all this stuff. They're that type of discipline on these young guys, these unproven type of guys, a mixed mash of middling talent. Let's call it for what it is. There's just the superstar pass catcher over there, hands down, is Kelce. Everybody know that. But when it's third and long or something and I need to make a play, just like you saw at the end of the game when they went for it on fourth down, he's looking for Kelce because that's the guy you can count on. But he's in triple coverage. You know what I'm saying? He's got man coverage and a safety and someone that comes across because that's what they're trying to do. They're going to take that option away on passing downs that they know you need. And it was about time the chickens have come home to roost, really. And, that kid Rice is doing good, but still, it's nobody in their wide receiving core is someone that Patrick Mahomes can lean on. And we saw the frustration of that when when he just lost it on the sidelines. Kind of a crybaby. But, hey, this is what the deal is. This is what it is when you have to manipulate the cap. And it's something Dolphin fans, think about all the time. We've seen how a middling quarterback has destroyed our cap because we're figuring out ways, and it's just in the past that's been a problem with just caps, non-savings, and just bad stuff. But it was about time that the Chiefs bubble pops. It's back-to-back losses for the Chiefs. Wow. I mean, really, we knew Buffalo was going to fight to the bitter end because it was their lives on the line. I think we all kind of knew that. But if you were a betting man, and I am at times, to bet that the Chiefs get back-to-back losses, it's hard to do. So, yeah, Jermaine, I can't root for Buffalo. To me, it was an outcome, no matter how it went, that it was going to be beneficial to us one way or the other. We just had to look at it. If our real goal is a Super Bowl, not that we root for the Bills, but the Bills winning in this instance, we can take an analytical look and a back seat as a fan and go, yeah, this is a much better situation for us, especially with us coming against Monday night against the Titans. Right now, for a short while, the Ravens are sitting at number 1 at 10-3. The Dolphins get a victory tonight, no matter how it comes, as long as it's a victory, it puts us at 10-3 and back in the number 1 driver's seat. So, just something to think about, as far as we're going to get our shot against the Ravens at some point, whether we lose a game, they lose a game in between now and when we match up. And who do the Ravens play? I know that we played Dallas. Just give me a second. Let me see who the Ravens. I just had it. The Ravens play the Jaguars, the Niners, and Pittsburgh outside of us. So, listen, the Jags are playing for all their might as well. And Trevor Lawrence did not look 100%, obviously, and they lost again. But, God, dude, they lost me so much money. I was so thinking they were going to win that game. Freaking Flacco, dude. What the hell? Anyhow, man, what a freaking crazy. God, I got steamrolled yesterday on parlays. So close, but yet so far away. The Lions and the Jaguars destroyed all my good money bets because I hit 7 of 8, and that 8 was freaking Jaguars. Done blew my stoke, dude. Anyhow, the Jaguars are gonna give and listen. The freaking Rams had the Ravens on the ropes, and Lamar Jackson played a damn near perfect game. 3 touchdowns, like 380 yards or something stupid like that, all-purpose yards. He was great. But still, they were in a dogfight in the overtime against the Rams. Like, not that the Rams defense ain't good, and they got some stuff kind of working on offense. But if I'm looking at Miami versus the Rams today, I'm certainly that game ain't going to overtime. We beating the Rams. We're not going to overtime against the Rams. It's just not happening. It's not. We're going to beat them, and it'll be fourth quarter, and we won by 10 points. That's what I'm thinking. And now I see the Ravens struggle against them, and I'm like, wow, maybe the Ravens aren't as, unbreakable as I perceive them. I thought that, as far as offense and defense and what they could do, and, as a team, the pace in which their offense works and the pace in which their defense works, they do what, kind of like the Niners kind of do. They kind of draw you in a dogfight and kind of a chess match at the same time. It sucks. They're hard teams to play against. Niners clear cut the best football team going on right now, playing the best ball right now out of anybody. They look unstoppable. But yeah, Baltimore showed that, hey, we could clip Baltimore. We could get them. We could get them in their house. We have. And or they maybe drop one before we even meet them. Still, even then, whether we drop one or they drop one, that heads up matchup is going to be super important. Super important, critical. And don't count the Chiefs out. Now the Chiefs got, some easy games coming to them. I mean, there's a lot going on in this final weeks for the Dolphins, who I believe have the toughest of the final schedule. We got to face, and say what you will about the Jets, okay? And Jets fans are delusional because they won 30. They put up 30 points the other day. I'm hearing about how Zach Wilson, was good all along. Again, I'll let them believe their fables, all that nonsense. But they knocked out CJ Stroud in that game, and that's when the game took a turn. Let's call it for what it is. All right. CJ Stroud, probably MVP, rookie of the year, excuse me. Kids have been playing lights out, but they took out Stroud in that game, and then they were able to run away with it. And Stroud without Dell, I knew that was a real blow to that team. They had quite the connection, and young quarterbacks find a safety blanket like a guy like Dell who's putting up the numbers. I mean, dude, let's be real. But anyhow, now Jets are starting to feel themselves. They're going to come to Miami, and they hate the Dolphins. They hate the fact that we're not only number one in the division, but we're number one in the NFL, especially when they come to face us next week. Do not count them out for a few things. Number one, I'm hoping the Dolphins offense plays lights out quick and hurry and gets Tua and the other guy. These guys will play dirty. They will play dirty. They got nothing to win and everything to gain by hurting us. So watch out for these Jets coming here directly. I'm just saying, I'm calling it like it is. But we got the Jets, then we've got the Cowboys, then we have the Ravens, then we have the Bills. Like the final four games, there's two division opponents. One that is, again, the Cowboys, who look for real right now. Holy cow. I mean, everybody knows Micah Parsons is good. And that Micah Parsons matchup with all the trash talk he's been putting on Tua, talking about how he could be a quarterback better than Tua. I heard you, homie. I heard you. I hear what you're saying. Man, this is good trash talk. That game, then the Ravens afterwards, then the Bills. Our playoffs are starting. I mean, depending on what Jets team shows up, and we should wipe the floor with the Jets personally. But our come on Christmas Eve, that's when our playoffs start. We're gonna be playing playoff football from now until the Super Bowl. I want this first round bye. Badly. I mean, listen, Alex, just give me home field advantage, because I got analytics that we're gonna get into later about how the home field versus the away field and everything like that is super significant. And everybody knows we're a different animal at home, bro. We are. Not that we haven't done good things on the road, offensively or defensively. We just haven't put it together offensively and defensively together as a whole of a team and special teams the way we do at home on the road. We figure a way to do that. That'll be great. I'm hoping we see that at that Baltimore game. But I want that home field. I want it for the playoffs. I want to make teams have to come here to our house with our fans screaming bloody murder, doing everything they can to be involved. That's how I want it. Hit the like button, everybody. Please get the likes up. Thank you. So let's talk real quick about, are the Cowboys for real? Is this a real team? Because to me, the Cowboys, first of all, I hate the Cowboys. Not that I hate them, but I lose money on them, because whether I bet for them or against them, they're always doing the opposite. And dude, they're like a hot and cold team. Like, man, I hate to say this, and I've heard so many people say this, but so many people have said like the Dolphins and the Cowboys are the same team. I don't believe that to be so. Not even. And what they're saying is not so much as talent, because I think the Dolphins have more talent across the board, but that when these teams put it together, offensively or defensively, there's just no stopping them. And I'm telling you, when I watch the Cowboys and they're clicking, they're steamrolling people. Now, the Dolphins, when we're clicking, we don't just steamroll them. We absolutely run you out of the building. That's the difference, I would say. If the Dolphins are clicking on all cylinders offensively and defensively, we run you out of the building. We beat you we obliterate you. You have no shot. You even look at their sidelines and everything. They're just like, I got nothing. They're looking at each other on the field. I'm like, I don't know what to do, man. I'm doing my job, but I don't know why this guy, I don't know what the hell's going on. That's how we do people. Not that the Cowboys look like they just beat you up a little bit, which is, and they're a little chippy. That's going to be a good game on Christmas Eve. It's going to be a real good game. But Dallas is looking more and more real in the NFC, which is, is it surprising? Not really, but, are they the best team in the NFC? I don't think so. I think San Fran's the best team right now. And lo and behold, that's type of football that San Fran running, Miami running, and I think Miami's the best in the AFC. So it is what it is. Anyhow, the Eagles on the flip side of that, what happened to this team? Did they blow their stoke? They blow their stoke? Thanks, Dolphins Thirsty. Kevin says, Cap, you realize it could be 1 seed Miami. Oh, yeah. When the Dolphins and the Cowboys go against each other, there's a chance that they could both be the top seed going against each other 1v1. That's a good thing. What's up, EM? I see you creeping down there. Yeah, Eagles, they didn't just fumble the ball or game away. They got ran off the table a little bit. Like, wow, what happened to the Eagles? I feel like they kind of blew their stoke a little bit, right? Right? Like, where's the bounce back at? What's up with that passing game that they had, last year, where I'm seeing, Slim Reaper just get outside the numbers and streak down the field, and Jalen Hurts rolls out and finds him deep. Where's that deep attack? They're doing still a good job facilitating on those underneath routes to AJ and finding him on jump balls and stuff, but they're not. How Miami's able to hit home runs in the passing and running game. I mean, both running backs, Tyreek Hill taking them 50 plus yards. They don't have that explosion on offense that I thought they had. They're more trying to ground you into a dogfight and grind out a win, and that's good football. But if you can't keep pace, and Dallas is over here, cutting your throat offensively and defensively, wow. Dallas, and here's the thing, right? We lost to the Eagles earlier. It's one of only the 3 losses we got. A game in which I feel consensively the Dolphin fans feel screwed out of. Because I agree. I thought there was so many egregious calls where the Dolphins have 10 penalties, and at the end of the day, the Eagles have 0. I get that they got 2, but the Dolphins also had 2, so they offset each other. But still, they ended on the day with no penalty loss yards at all. Well, the Dolphins, it seemed like every time we had a big play on 3rd down or something like that, or a nice conversion, it was called back on some ticky-tack holding or something like that. Well, what I said at the end of that game, it wasn't so much the calls that killed us, it was the no calls that murdered us. The egregious penalties that the Eagles did to prevent the Dolphins from making big plays offensively and defensively cost them the game way more than the penalties they put on us. But I digress. The Eagles beat the Dolphins. And it wasn't until, midway through the fourth that they kind of put the game away, and it was just too much for the Dolphins to overcome. But it wasn't an absolute whipping that anybody could say. Liars and haters and, trolls will definitely say that they outclassed us, but that's just not the case. You watch the game and watch it objectively, you will see everything that I just said. If the Dolphins beat the Cowboys, I'm going to look at it like Dolphins would have always beat the Eagles, because the Eagles looked classless against the Cowboys yesterday. They looked terrible. Duke, I talked a little bit about it. Mahomes frustrated. Talked about it. Mahomes super frustrated. Yeah, John, I'll be calling the play-by-play tonight. Got to figure out how to warm this place up because it's cold. But yeah. Yeah, I'll be calling. But yeah, the Eagles, to me, cheated us on that game. And if we beat Dallas on Christmas Eve, the way Dallas is playing right now, and Dallas plays, next week they play the Bills. They beat the Bills, then we go against them. God, I hope they beat the Bills. Please beat the Bills this Sunday coming up. Please, that'll be so good. This is an absolute gauntlet for a lot of the teams. While Miami sits at the top, it's going to be a gauntlet. So let's go into playoff clinching type of scenario things. So easily put right now, with the way the teams are, and you can look at, the wild card teams. We've got a 7-6 Indianapolis team sitting at the bottom seed, the 7th seed. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have completely fallen off as of late. What happened to them? That are 7-5, but 7-6, but they're still at the 5th seed, or the 6th seed. While the Bills are still trying to come upward on this. It's funny. I find that funny anyhow. I don't care what anybody says. And there's still Denver at 7-6 that's trying to get up. There's still some teams out there fighting for their lives. Houston's still 7-6, and the Bills are underneath all these teams at 7-6. Just so I'm telling you. But at the 5th seed is an 8-5 Cleveland Browns, which, God bless, Joe Flacco. Those teams are in there. I can't believe it. For the Dolphins right now, as long as, including tonight, they would just need to win 2 more games. That's what I think. Tonight they're going to win and have 10 games. And then between the next 4 games, they win 1. That'll get them to 11, and that will essentially clinch them in the playoffs no matter what. There is some things that could happen and whatnot, but probably by the time the Dolphins beat the Jets to get 11 wins, they'll have clinched the playoffs. So that's going to be a great feeling for Dolphins fans. That's going to be a great feeling and all the way around. Now, that's only for the wild card. Doesn't clinch the AFC East. This just clinches us in the playoffs. We are going to the playoffs. That's happening. So good news there. Now, if we're talking about clinching the AFC East now, a couple of things have to happen. There's somebody's calling it the rule of 3 or the magical 3. A couple of the beat writers have coined this. 3 is the special number for the Dolphins right now. So say the Dolphins over these next 5 games win 2 and the Bills lose 1, then the Dolphins will actually, hold on, let me make certain of that. Hold on, let me see. Yes, if the Dolphins win 2 and the Bills lose 1, the Dolphins will clinch the East. If the Dolphins win 3, doesn't matter about any of those 3, the Dolphins will clinch. Let me see. Let's see that. Yeah. All we need is any combination of us to win 3 games and the Bills or us to win 2 and the Bills to lose 1 over these next 4 weeks. Well, for us, we would only need 2 wins and 1 and them to lose, and that's we're going to clinch the East. So it's I mean, listen. We're talking just win 3 games and we're going to clinch the East at this point. So let's try to clinch the East on Christmas Eve. What a present for Dolphins fans, right? What a present for Dolphins. If the Dolphins win the next 3 and the Bills lose one of those next 3, say they lose this weekend to the Cowboys, right? Depending on whether or not the Dolphins win or lose that Baltimore game, and depending on whether or not the Chiefs have lost one of their 3 games, the Dolphins could go into the final week of the season and sit their starters against the Bills. Now, it might let the Bills backdoor their way into the playoffs potentially. But I don't know. They'll have 7 losses at that point. They very well might be. They might need like 2 teams to lose to get in with a victory against Miami. And now both those teams could potentially lose, and Dolphins could lay down to them and with our backups by resting our starters because we've lost to Baltimore. We're not going to get the first round bye, so we might as well rest our starters on the first round bye in our final week. And this is a real scenario that could come into place because to me, you rest Teron Armstead if you can. And if you're going to rest Teron Armstead and you're playing against the Bills, you rest Tua Tagovailoa. You do the smart thing because the Bills could be playing for every single thing in the world in this scenario to get into the playoffs while also they could just be looking to do whatever damage they could to us because they could be sour. They could be sour grapes. That's just the facts. They could be sour grapes and be just saying, you know what? The Colts won. We're not going to be able to get into the playoffs. We might as well kill these Dolphins on the way so they don't go nowhere in the playoffs. Now, the best way for the Dolphins to clinch the first round is we're kind of on Kansas City watch because Kansas City losing to the Bills really helps us because KC definitely has an easy enough schedule to still, to win out at this point. They play the Raiders, they play Cincinnati, the Chargers, and New England. Those are their final 4 games. Now, Cincinnati could give them all they want, but the Chargers, last week of the year, Herbert probably will be out. Honestly, Chargers should take Herbert off the board now, who's playing injured. They're going to pivot their entire freaking organization next year. I don't know what they're doing, taking a quarterback they paid a bunch of money for and having him with his hurt hand play football. They're stupid. New England, Chiefs should walk through New England. Vegas will fight them hard, and they kind of have some form of scenario, but I don't think. But if we're looking at the Chiefs and we're saying New England, Raiders, Cincy, Chargers, if they won all those games, you would go, yeah, they should win all those games. They're a better team with whatever quarterback situations going on all 4 of these teams. Okay. They could, I mean, if Bailey is playing, is he the backup? Because he's just as good. I mean, whoever's the starter in New England is the backup. Let's call it for what it is, because neither one of them is going to be the starter next year. So they're both backups. The Raiders, I mean, I don't know what the hell's even, I don't know who's even playing quarterback for. Is it Garoppolo? I don't even know. Who knows? Backup nonetheless. Cincy has a backup in. Now that kid Browning is doing pretty good, but still, he's a backup quarterback. Versus Mahomes, they should win. And the Chargers, last game of the year, nothing to play for. Herbert, who has had a hurt hand, they might play a backup too. So if they win out, that could be, whatever. Now there's also Jacksonville that could come from behind, but I'm not even going to count on Jacksonville because it doesn't bother me. Really, it comes down to the Dolphins in the number 1 seed coming down to Baltimore. And we, again, how I just explained is, even if we lose against the Cowboys, yeah, it sucks because it's, whatever. But even if the Baltimore Ravens win out in this scenario, we'll have that heads-up chance to beat them. And if we do and beat them, doesn't matter if the Chiefs are winning out. Now, it puts us in a situation where everything to remain number one comes down to the last week of the year against the Bills if we beat Baltimore, but lost one along the way. Because if we lose against the Bills in the final week and the Ravens lose, but the Chiefs win, the Chiefs can overjump us and be the number one seed all over again. Or vice versa, the Ravens win and we lost because the Bills beat us in the final week. The Ravens are back to number one. And if the Chiefs win and Ravens win and we lose, and because we lost to Cowboys, we could slide down to the 3 position while the Chiefs have jumped us for number 2. And that would piss me off. So there's a way in which we go against the Bills at some point. And this is a game with a lot riding on it for number 1 or potentially number 2. But man, dude, like, this is taking care of business tonight is where it begins. We'll be number 1 again here directly. This is a lot of shuffling that could and will happen over this stuff. We got to just win. And we're in a great position to win this way. What's up, CB? I see you down there. Yeah, that, to me, the last 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, excuse me, that Christmas Eve game is going to be huge for both teams because both teams will either be in the number 1 or number 2 spot looking to get the number 1 or remain the number 2 spot or whatever the case may be, fighting for the top. That's it. Fighting for the top. And the following week, it's going to be the same story. Fighting for the top. Win or lose, doesn't matter. Ravens, Dolphins, they are fighting for the number 1 seed. And then again, depending on wins and losses amongst the teams in question, I guess you can include the Jaguars, but the Jags, the Bills, not so much the Bills. We'll go the Jags, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs. Depending on who wins and loses, come the final week, the Dolphins could have everything riding on beating the Bills, where the Bills could have everything riding on getting into the playoffs as a wild card, or derailing the Dolphins that would clinch number 1 if they beat the Bills and put them potentially to number 3. I mean, what a blow, right? What a blow. Bills get into the playoffs as a wild card and also take the Dolphins from the number 1 seed down to the number 3. Shit, depending on seeding, the Dolphins could find themselves going back against the Bills again the following week, depending on who wins or loses. Like the Colts completely fall off. The fall of the Steelers continues, which the Steelers play the Ravens last week of the year. I mean, the scenarios and division and everything is so much that, yes, Kevin Lee, Miami is in control. We are. We definitely are. And I feel good. I mean, listen, if you go by any metrics, we have an 89% chance to win tonight by the metrics. And then we also, next week, I think it's an 86% chance to beat the Jets. If you're a betting person and taking the percentages, you would take the Dolphins to win both these games. And that's just a fact. The Cowboys, that's a little bit more, But again, as I explained, we can drop one to the Cowboys, but beat the Ravens and be able to still win out and be number 1 if we beat the Bills, because you got to watch Kansas City coming up from the blind side, and you got to kind of watch if the Ravens win out, and then go to Miami and only drop the 1 game to Miami. Bro, this The board is going to shuffle like no end. And I'm going to show you how the board shuffles to no end. I'm going to share this calculator. All right. So here we go. Hope everybody can see. So right now, this is the results from week 14. Dolphins are at the 2 seed because we have yet to play. And, I'm going to make it an easy peasy, parcheesy, Japanesey and just say the Dolphins win, right? Dolphins win tonight. We are the number 1 seed. And let's say Green Bay wins. Nothing changes for them. Even if Green Bay would have lost, they still would have stayed the 7th seed. So, you know what? Now that I know that, I might bet that the freaking Giants win tonight. Because Giants are just like the type of team that will win, but it does mean absolutely nothing. It doesn't hurt the team they're playing against at all. That's just how they get down. They are a meaningless football team. Poor them. It's okay. We'll I'm gonna fix it. Giants should lose. So here comes week 15. We'll say that the Raiders beat the Chargers. We'll say that the Bengals beat the Vikings because the Vikings are just absolutely horrid. Dobbs has fallen off a cliff. We're going to say also that the Colts beat the Steelers. I don't know. What do you guys think? Colts or Steelers? What do you guys think? Hey, Papa Paul. What's up, buddy? Colts or Steelers? Let me know in chat right now. Colts. Yeah, I'm thinking the Colts will win too. Steelers look like they're falling. I'm going to say the Broncos beat the Lions. Lions are playing terrible right now. We'll save the Dolphins game for last. Oh, look, couple of Steelers, but Colts are going to take it. Colts will take it. Yep, I think the Colts win. So we'll also do Texans to beat the Titans. We'll do Green Bay to beat Tampa. We'll do Saints to beat New York. Falcons beat Carolina. I mean, the Bears just put a whipping on the Lions, but is that going to happen again? Cleveland lose to the Lions? I don't think so, right? No way. Cleveland wins. Chiefs beat the Patriots. Niners beat Cardinals. Rams beat the Commanders. And Seattle versus whatchamacallit? The Eagles. Do the Eagles fall again? You know what? I'm saying Eagles lose. Doesn't matter. They don't move up or down. But I'm saying the Eagles lose that game. How about them apples? Eagles continue to suck. So here's the 3 games I have left here. And these are the games that are going to affect Miami the most. And that's why I've saved them for last, see? Because, I mean, listen, I could save the Chiefs game, but I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going to beat the friggin' hapless Patriots who are now 9 and, making the Chiefs 9-3. So, Dolphins versus Jets. Let's say the Dolphins win. Dolphins now 11-3, remaining at the number 1 seed. Bills and Cowboys. Let's say the Bills beat the Cowboys. Doesn't affect them in seeding. Helps the Bills try to get further up now with teams like, really, it's not helping them too much because everybody they needed to lose won, but they still remain in it with, catching that win. So Jaguars versus the Ravens. Who's winning that game? Jaguars or Ravens? Let me know in chat. It is in Jacksonville, the game, which doesn't really matter to, uh, you know, Ravens. Ravens or Jags? Let me know. Bromar says the Ravens. Jermaine says the Jags. Duke, Ravens. Who you guys got? A lot of Ravens starting to pour in. Let's see what happens. If the Jags win, it does nothing for their seeding. But if the Jags lose, it does nothing for their seeding or the Ravens. So as far as seeding goes, Ravens remain number 2 while the Jags remain number 4 no matter who wins or loses. I think the Ravens will win, especially if Trevor is still not 100%. And I think because I'm looking at how it doesn't affect the team one way or the other, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win. So now here comes week 16. Ooh, now these matchups are getting really spicy. Some spicy matchups. We're going to have the Jets beat the Commanders. We'll have the Seahawks beat the Titans. We'll have Green Bay. I'm just picking the easy ones now. Beat the Panthers. Jacksonville will definitely beat Tampa Bay. God, look at this game. Cardinals versus Lions. I'm picking the Lions, or not Lions, Bears, excuse me. Cardinals versus Bears. Terrible football game right there. I'm going to have the Broncos beating the Patriots. Eagles will win. All right, so here comes a lot of games that are really important to a lot of things. Well, I guess we'll say who wins against the Saints and the Rams. Damn, that's a hard game to pick right there. That's going to be a shootout right there. That's going to be a good game to watch if you can watch it. I think the Rams pull it off. Well, I'm picking the Rams. I don't care what anybody says. Wow, if the Rams beat, the Rams could slide in at the 7th seed with a victory over the Saints. Saints victory puts them at the 4th seed. Holy cow. No way. Wow, a lot riding on that Rams-Saints game. And I don't really see how anybody else can affect it. Oh, wow, yeah, if the Saints, see. All right, I'm going to pick the Rams to win, and I'm also picking the Lions to win. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Bengals at Steelers. Who wins? And it's going to affect right now. The Bengals are in the playoffs while the Steelers are not. Whoever wins this game takes the 7th seed. Or actually, if the Bengals win, they keep the 7th seed. Man, there's going to be a couple teams fighting over that 7th seed right there. Man, look at this nonsense. So what do you guys think? Bengals going to win? All right, I'm putting the Bengals in on a win. What about Colts versus Atlanta? I say Colts win. What do you guys think? Colts versus Atlanta. Colts versus Atlanta, guys. What do you think? Colts? I'm thinking the Colts too. The Bengals don't really have a favorable schedule. They got to face their entire division. All right, so everybody's picking the Colts. I'm too. Because guess what? Atlanta remains the 4th seed, whether they win or lose. They could be the 4th seed in the NFC with a 7-8 record, while the number 1 seed has an 11-3 right now. Goodness gracious. All right, so another big game with a lot riding on it is the Texans and the Browns. If the Browns win, they will remain the 7th seed, or excuse me, the 5th seed with a 10-5 record. But if the Texans win, they'll jump to the 7th seed with a 9-6 record over the Broncos, even though the Broncos, we have the Broncos winning against the Patriots, which I think is going to happen. So Browns or Texans? Let me know in chat. Browns or Texans? That Browns defense is good. And is CJ Stroud going to be there? Well, he should be there. This is weeks away. Yeah, that Browns defense is fierce. Wow, and look at Denver with a 9-6 record. What a freaking story there, huh? Who's at home? The Texans are at home. Jermaine, without Joe Burrow, I know Browning's playing good, but they're going to win 3 out of 4 with the Chiefs, Steelers, Browns, and Vikings. They should probably win. I think we have them winning that game. And Texans. So, okay, I think we're all in agreement. Browns win against Houston. It's a nice story, but the Browns, just a better football team further along in the tale, we'll say, in the script. So now we got the Chargers versus the Bills. Bills should beat the Chargers. I mean, that should happen, right? Like, nobody's going to dispute that. Correct? So then we have the Ravens. Yeah, Chargers suck, bro, Lamar. We have the Ravens versus the Niners. Now, if the Ravens win, the Niners still remain, because of the heads-up matchup against the Eagles, they still remain the number 1 seed, while the Ravens would be number 1 depending on what happens with the Miami Dolphins and Cowboys game on Friday. So if the Niners win, which is a possibility, Niners will be 12-3. And if the Dolphins lose against the Cowboys, it won't matter either. And it'll keep the Cowboys, racing up to try to keep pace with the number 1 seed. Only back 1 game, they'll jump over the Eagles. But if they lose to the Dolphins, the Eagles jump over them, and they're the 5th seed again. So, man, let's see if yeah, no, it doesn't do nothing. I know it's hard to say this, guys, but just for the sake of argument, we're going to say that the Dolphins lose to the Cowboys, but the Baltimore Ravens also lose to the 49ers. And even if the Ravens won and took the number 1 seed over the Dolphins with a 12-3 record, the outcome is still the same come week 17, Dolphins fans. The outcome, no matter how, whether the Dolphins are sitting at number 1 and lost 1, and the Ravens lost one, it's not going to matter. So, or the Ravens won and the Ravens are number one. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to do the Ravens won, Dolphins lost, and the Dolphins are now the number 2 seed. Ravens are number 1 with 12-3. Dolphins are number 2 with 11-4. Kansas City 9-5 with the 3 record, with the 3rd seed. Wait a second. Kansas City wins, so they're 10-5. Excuse me, that was when we left off. And then Jacksonville 9-6 at the 4th seed. Cleveland 10-5 at the 5th seed. Indy is the 6th seed, 9-6, and Denver 9-6 as the 7th seed. This is the end of week 16. Heading into week 17, we've got the Jets versus Cleveland. I'm picking Cleveland to win. Cowboys versus the Lions. I'm picking the Cowboys to win. We've got Bills versus Patriots. Bills will win. Let's do Falcons win that game. Jaguars should totally win that game. Texans should totally win that game. LA, Eagles, Saints, Niners. We'll say they win. Fuck it. All right, so Chiefs, Bengals at Chiefs. Who wins that game? Chiefs or Bengals at home? Chiefs are at home. Everybody hit the like button, please. Hit the like button and tell me who wins. Bengals or Chiefs, and the Chiefs are at home. Week 17. Seeing the Chiefs start rolling through. Kevin Lee, Bromar, Jermaine, Hooked Up Joe, Mr. Paul, Duke, Day One, everybody. Yeah, I'm thinking Casey as well. So we'll put Kansas City as the victor with 11-5. This brings now Colts versus Raiders. If the Raiders win, keeps the Colts out of the playoffs. If the Colts win, it puts them to the 6th seed, while Denver goes to the 7th, and the Bills are out of the playoffs at this point. But if the Raiders win, the Bills are back in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, but I could see the Raiders playing upset against the Colts in week 17, because then the entirety of the bottom of the board stays shuffling. So I'm going to pick the Raiders. Who wins, guys? Raiders or Colts? Well, I'm already seeing Colts coming in to win. Raiders or Colts, guys? They didn't score any points, guys. You're right. Raiders do not have any offense. It's no lie. Damn, you guys are right. All right, well, I've been ruled out. Colts will win, and the Bills will stay out, even though they're on a hot streak, we'll say. That leaves the Dolphins versus the Ravens. Now, if the Ravens win, and this is the scenario that I'm worried about here. If we lose to the Cowboys, right, and then lose to the Ravens, and the Chiefs have won back-to-back games, we drop to the 3rd seed with 11-5, and the Chiefs overtake us, while the Ravens will have 13-3, and they've clinched the number 1 first-round bye. I don't see that happening. I see the Dolphins beating the Ravens. Dolphins at 12-4, number 1 seed, even though we lost to the Cowboys. It doesn't matter. We still remain the number 1 seed. beating the Ravens, and the 3rd seed 11-5 is the Chiefs. 4th seed 10-6 is the Jaguars. 5th seed Cleveland Browns 11-5. 6th seed 10-6 is the Colts, and the 7th seed 10-6 is the Broncos. Week 18. Let's go through the ones that we think. All right, so Seattle wins. I think Ravens win against the, well, here. Yeah, Ravens win. Bucks. Bengals at home against the Cleveland Browns, last game of the year. I'm saying the Bengals win that. Lions win. Green Bay wins. Kansas City wins. Broncos. Say Broncos lose. Wow, look at the last game of the year will come down to whoever wins between the Saints and the Falcons to who goes in. And I say it's the Saints that edge out the Falcons at home last game of the year. Wow, Dallas could lose in. All right, I like where we're at right now. We've got the Ravens versus the Steelers last game of the year. Ravens at home. I say the Ravens win this game. If they lose it, the Chiefs will overtake them. I don't see that happening. I see the Ravens winning, and they're 13-4. While if the Dolphins win against the Chiefs, we are number 1. If the Dolphins let's see. If the Dolphins win against the Bills the final week of the year after losing to the Ravens, we will overtake the Ravens, even though the Ravens beat the Ravens beat oh, well, no, listen, we got to beat the Ravens. That's how we control this. But if we lose against Buffalo, final game of the year after beating the Ravens, even though we lose to the Cowboys, we'll go. If we lose to Buffalo, Buffalo will be the 6th seed. Dolphins will be the 3rd seed, and we will have to face them first round of the playoffs again at home in Miami. If the Dolphins win that last game of the year, we're the number 1 seed and a bye, and the freaking Chiefs or the Bills do not make the playoffs. We could keep them out of the playoffs. This is the scenario I was trying to talk about earlier. This is probably how it's going to end up shaking out, because look at how much everything means to everybody. If the Colts win or lose, I mean, dang, dude. We'll say the Colts lose and the Texans get in over the Colts, but the Colts will also be in. Who else can this affect? Wow. If the Ravens lose, that ain't happening. Ravens are beating them. Let's see. Man, it's just a mishmash. I put Dallas beating the Bills, or no, losing to the Bills, but beating the Dolphins. That's what I did. Because I have the Bills essentially outside of Miami winning out. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. I have the Bills winning out until the last week of the year against Miami. And if they beat Miami, they'll face Miami again. Well, no, that's not true. Because I forgot the Colts. Let's see if the Colts win. Yeah, dude. If the Colts win against the Texans last game of the year and the Bills beat the Dolphins and the Ravens win to become number 1, which I think the Ravens will win, then the Dolphins will face the Bills. Now, if the Colts lose, then we'll face the Texans as the number 2 seed. But if the Colts win, we'll face the Bills again in the 7th seed. Now, if the Dolphins win, we'll be number 1 and we have the first round bye. And the seeding for who the Ravens face changes. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if Cleveland wins and the Ravens lose, the Ravens slide all the way down to the 5th seed while the freaking Browns jump up to the 2nd seed. Super, jumping over the top of everybody, including the Chiefs who went out at this point. Dang, how crazy would that be? And what happens? Does Deshaun Watson come back? No way, right? No way. No way Deshaun Watson comes back. For the playoffs? Are you kidding me? That would be crazy as the 2 seed. I don't know. So, yeah, that's kind of how I could see things shaking out a little bit. Because you got to remember something when you're doing these things. What's the most drama that could be filled? Where in the final week, how many people's lives can ride on 1 week of football as many as possible, as far as fan bases, as far as, seeding, all that stuff. But to me, it's going to be hard to get the number 2 seed unless if the Chiefs lose one more game, then the number 2 seed is going to no matter what, it's going to the Dolphins and or the Ravens, unless both those teams lose out, which just isn't really in the cards. So now it's coming down, no matter how you slice it, to the Dolphins and Ravens, unless one or both teams lose 2 games, and then the Chiefs can go over us or something to that effect. But it's a 3-headed race between the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Ravens for 1, 2, and 3. Right now, the Dolphins are out in front with who's going for number 1. And let's continue that tonight here in a couple hours. Damn, like a couple hours now. So everybody hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you're new, I guess, if you like what you see. And we're going to go into just real quick for everybody that doesn't know, Robert Hunt is ruled out. We're still waiting on a game status from Teron Armstead, Javon Holland as well. I think we expect Javon Holland to play. Another guy to look out for is recently elevated Chris Brooks. Will he get some playing time tonight? It would be a nice time to see him in prime time. It would be cool. But on the flip side of that, Fulton, the CB, is out for Tennessee. Their tight end, Josh Wiley, I guess. I don't know. But the big hit is Jeffrey Simmons, who's out, their defensive tackle, the guy that, he's really good. So if you look at it in this, aspect, Jeffrey Simmons is in, perfect timing for Robert Hunt to not be in. We're going to see Lester Cotton back out there, which did fine. Lester Cotton, shout out to the homie. He's done good in reserve. There was a little shakiness there in the beginning, but hey, as long as he's not going against Jeffrey Simmons tonight, I think he's going to do just fine. So that's a good news for tonight. And then, Dolphins did make some roster moves. We got Calvin Munson off the practice squad. So that tells me that here's the deal. Calvin Munson, not a guy you want out there playing, especially in coverage, but special teamer. dang good special teamer. He's always done very good for us in the special team department. And we're going to need that guy for special teams reps because Duke Riley's going to get a lot of those snaps now that Jerome Baker was getting. And you'll see guys mix in there too. Maybe we'll see some Channing Tindall. Maybe we'll see some more Cameron Good playing a little bit off linebacker, off ball linebacker. We'll see. But Calvin Munson will be taking a lot of the special teams reps so these other linebackers can split up the you want to see the back? Hold on, let me show you. You got the same one? It's a good one, ain't it? It's a warm one. What's good, Vaughn? What's good, Vaughn Joe? Hello. Hit the like button. Been going and rattling off all kinds of good stuff, man. It's a good show. So yeah, Calvin Munson definitely going to be taking some special teams snaps, to say the least. Let's see. And here's just real quick to close the book on the seeding and stuff like that for why, number one, absolutely, I want number one first round bye. Let these other teams beat up on each other, and we get to play them at home. One less game of wear and tear. If it is anywhere else, make it number two, because I want to control as long as I can that type of home field advantage, because this Dolphins team at home under the Mike McDaniel era is a different team than they have been on the road, at least in the offense. I mean, Dolphins in these last 2 years under Mike McDaniel, they score an average of 28.9 points at home with an average of 5 yards per carry, and they complete 67.5% of their passes, which average at around 8.7, 8.8 yards per attempt. And the passer rating of Tua is 104.3. We are very good at home. On the flip side of that, the passer rating takes a dip when we go on the road. It's 90.6 is the passer rating. Our 8.7 goes down to 7.8. It's not the end of the world, but that's a whole yard pretty much. And then completion of passes go from 67.5 down to 61.5. That's significant. We average only 4.6 yards per carry rather than our usual 5. And our points per game, which is significant, is 24.4. Now, 24.4 is a good number to average on the road, but when you're looking at 28.9 at home, you know that our advantage is at home, especially on offense. And the reason being, it's very easy to explain for anyone who wants to know why. I don't think a lot of the good Dolphins fans here understand why. We know what it is. It's because this is a timing, cadence, lot going on. It's a rhythm offense that, early in games when they can find their rhythm, and definitely in drives, they zip it together. But if they can't find their rhythm because, the home crowd, us being the away team, is turned up and they get a little bit of miscues, it snowballs kind of quickly. And we really just don't. There is some times where I wish, hey, stop with all the nonsense, get the play in, do it, and be done with it. And enough with all the miscues and everything like that. Just have some bread and butter plays. And they've gotten better about that in the run game as of recent. On the road this year, not to last year. Last year, it was pretty bad. But to me, these numbers say a lot about why being the number one, or at the least the number 2 seed, is such an important thing for us, because to me, it's just huge. Ali, what's going on? Yeah, you're at the station, right?
Not much, man. We are on our way. We're about 20 minutes out from the stadium. We're about to be passing the Hard Rock here in a few moments. Starting to get a little bit busy on the highway. Not too bad. We're actually, keeping some good pace right now, so it's pretty good. Just came by to say hi. Excited for the game.
So, Ali, what is your score prediction for tonight?
I think it's going to be 35-10 Miami Dolphins.
What does Tyreek Hill go off for? How many yards?
173 yards plus, at least 173 plus.
Whoa. Hold on. Let me write that down, Ali, because I might bet Tyreek 125 plus.
I'll tell you why. 173. You look at the Colts who played the Titans, what was it, last week or the week before? They had two receivers that put up 100 yards on Tennessee. The Colts did. And those receivers are nowhere near as good as our receivers. So when you have Tyreek and Waddle, both of them should be able to do way more than what the other two guys did. Just point
maybe
as a talent standpoint. Go ahead.
I'll take the over on their yards, both of them on a parlay or something too.
That might be a good idea.
idea. Looking to juice up the bets tonight because I'm not going to be able to check my bets. I'm going to be calling the game, so I want to hopefully check afterwards to a Dolphins victory and a bunch of money being paid out. You feel me? Let's double dip on this. So, all right, Ali.
Definitely.
Well, I'll be doing the game call and then a post game. So if you're on the ride home, you guys want to do the post game and hop on and let me know.
Yeah, man, definitely. You can throw us in the back. We're just here to listen, bro.
All right, sounds good, brother. Tell Color I said hey. So, okay, guys. One of the last things I wanted to talk about was this matchup. Again, Dolphins win tonight. We're back in the driver's seat at number 1. We will be 10-3. It's gonna happen. Everybody knows, Titans included. Really wish I was at the game. Shout out to everybody that is at the game. Make sure to subscribe and check out the Fins Tailgate. Everybody hit the like button. But let's go into the numbers of why, if you're a Titans fan, it's not good. It's not a very good statistical battle for you. This is the Dolphins' 87th time on Monday Night Football. So, that's a record. So, being the 87th time, that's a record for Monday Night Football. We had, a lot of good stuff going on for us right now with us winning some games. We're in the driver's seat. The Titans, on the other hand, are struggling, to say the worst. So Titans have ran successful plays this year at only a rate of 15.4% on their pass attempts when their quarterback's under pressure. And the Dolphins, opposing to that, they put pressure on the quarterback almost 30% of the time, which ranks us on defense third best. Shout out to Fangio, who has really got this team clicking right now. So they do terrible under pressure, and we put you under pressure a lot. That is not good for them. Our passer rating against our two top corners, Xavier Howard has allowed a 78.8% passer rating, which is kind of, it's a little skewed because he's got a lot of football that he's played and had to do a lot of different stuff in the beginning of the year. But Jalen Ramsey, 12.5. Like, you get nothing off Jalen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have a broken play and a guy kind of squirt loose, because if it's on a route, Jalen's got him locked. The Dolphins in the first quarter this year have the fourth best rate at scoring in the first quarter. They score 44.4% of the time in the first quarter. Oddly enough, that first quarter is their worst quarter of point differential, and their point differential in the first quarter is +6. Their point differential in the second quarter is +48. But here's the kicker. Something Color and I talked a lot about, and Color made this astute, excellent point when we were struggling back before Mike McDaniel got here, that when we come out in the third quarter and outscore opponents in the third quarter, we win those football games every single time. And since he said it and we've watched it, he's right every time. This year, our point differential is +54 in the third quarter. That is the best in the NFL. And we literally we put teams away in the third and coast in the second, which still we have a +10 in the fourth quarter. So it's funny. Another thing that hurts the Titans, them in the fourth quarter, they have a 22.2% in the fourth quarter this season. That's tied for third worst in the NFL, while the Dolphins with their 23.7% in the fourth quarter is tied for fifth best. So that doesn't really help them out very much. Second half adjustments this year from Vic Fangio has been legit. In the last 5 games, the Dolphins have only allowed 25 points on 25 pass defensive possessions in the second half the last 5 games. We have been locked down in the second half. And think about that too, when how we throttled back last week against the Commanders in the second half with our backups coming in there and still scoring on them again for the second time this season. So that's something to keep in mind. Titans have allowed 42 sacks this season. That's fifth most in the NFL. The Dolphins have sacked quarterbacks 41 times this season. That's third most in the NFL. Dolphins defense, again, still showing up in a big way. And I feel like, even with the loss of Jalen Phillips, which is terrible, we're still getting everything we can out of this defense. And Andrew Van Ginkel, as you guys know, he's the hit man, bro. He's the gamer, as they call him. Tua Tagovailoa since 2022 has 105.7 passer rating. So that's second best amongst all quarterbacks that are going back to last year. So under Mike McDaniel, it's great. The Titans, on the flip side of that, are allowing a 95.1 in that same time frame. That's fourth worst in the NFL. And they're going to be down Simmons, I said too. So who does a great job getting interior pressure, which is crucial in trying to stop Tua Tagovailoa. You have to get interior pressure because he's able to slip guys on the side and step up into those soft pockets that are left inside and heave it downfield, and he's done that all year. So just not good for the Titans in a lot of ways. They've been successful on their run plays 38.2% of the time since week 10. That's fifth worst in the NFL, even with having Derrick Henry on their side. While Dolphins have allowed their opponents to only have a 33.3 success rate on the run since week 10. That is best in the NFL. Since week 10, the Dolphins are best against the run in the NFL. And that has something to do also with, we force you to play catch up with us because we start racking up points. That the defense is able to pin their ears back, play zone, play too high shell, and just let the front four do what they do. And the linebackers can sit right there with all these two linebackers can sit there and play the run while all these secondary guys are playing zone and man-to-man in some situations and just really hurting them. And we know that, hey, if you're going to run the ball, I've got two linebackers that are going to account for that one running back more often than not. So unless you got extra blockers and you show run, then we're just going to definitely stuff it anyhow. So we really force them in a situation where they kind of typecast themselves on offense because of the pressure we're putting on them offensively. It's just a thing of beauty. It's team football. Let's see. Wow, dude. Titans since week 10 have just scored only 26.1% of their drives. That's fifth worst in the NFL. Dolphins defense allow only 17.1% of their offensive drives against them. So people are only scoring on 17.1% of the time since week 10. That is tied for best in the NFL, while the Titans are way at the bottom, hitting only 26.1. It is just in every single way and metric. The only way the Titans are ever going to have anything to do in this game is try to just air this puppy out. And that's not a good thing. Not with Ramsey and Howard creeping back there. And if Javon Holland plays today, which by all accounts it looks like he is, it's just not going to be good news for a lot of this team. So, I mean, dang, right? It's not good. It's not good. I mean, it's good for us, but, even if Derrick Henry goes off on a Derrick Henry type of day, it's just it's too little, too much. Dolphins could keep pace. Derek, what are you going to do? Derek, you're going to run 400 yards? No, you're not. Even if you had the best day of all time, it's just not going to be enough because the Dolphins can strike back in so many ways on offense. And then if we force you to have to take a strike on offense, our defense will make you pay, either in the pass rush when they're hitting literally almost 40% of the time with pressure. What was it, 36.6 or something like that? It was crazy. We are killing it. And yes, Jermaine, our defense is ranked 7th, but it's, early in the season, it was a rough going with the scheme. Since the bye week and on, the Dolphins defense has been lights out. And it's been the defense that's kept us in quite a few games here and there that we've won, while the offense, on the road was having their struggles. But that's okay because that's what team football is. Again, this team at home, where their defense is now on fire and that offense can definitely be fire, unstoppable. Again, I mean, look, cooking fools, cooking folk at home. That's going to be happening tonight. So, yeah, I believe Henry is playing. It looks like he's going to be playing. So he wasn't on the injury reserve list. So, yeah, guys, I wanted to do a little pregame, holla. And I will be setting up a stream to call the game. So come back, check me out when we're calling the game. I want everybody to hit the like button. If you're just getting in and you haven't watched everything, you need to go back and watch the rest of the front end of this episode. I chock full with a lot of stats, a lot of good information, a lot of scenarios. We did the calculator thing. I went into all the scenarios for the Dolphins to get in the playoffs, win the AFC East, and then win and become number one. And then I just went down pretty much how all of that will come to fruition. So go back, listen to the episode, leave comments at the end, and I will see you guys for the game call. And we're going to do after the end of the game, we'll close it down. We're going to do a post game as well. And we'll probably open up to a panel and everyone can talk about the Dolphins being number one again. So hit the like button, and we'll see you guys here in a couple hours.